Hey, hey, hey. Hi, everybody. It is Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and I am Joni Bates, founder and CEO of JB & Co. And it has been a minute since I have seen you guys. I went on a long RV trip from Atlanta all the way up to the tippy top of. So all my friends, I was up here in Harbor Springs for a wedding for my sweet nephew. So I have not been on Wine Wednesday in like a month. And I have to tell you, not being on Wine Wednesday literally made me feel like it's 7 o'clock on Wednesday and I forgot a child. Like I had that, did I forget a child in Home Depot? Are they locked in the car? Like, of course, all my children are, 26, 24, 22, and 19. There was nobody locked in a car. But felt not seeing you all every Wednesday, because I've been doing this for 3 years. It's a habit. It's like, y'all go to church on Sunday evenings. I do Wine Wednesday on Wednesday evenings. So I missed you. I really did. But I did have a lot of time to reflect when I was doing my RVing. And I really, really want my people who follow me to have a better understanding of how to make money. As simple as that. How to make money. So let's go through some housekeeping. This is being broadcast live. It also will be saved and recorded. It is on Facebook Live underneath my business page, which is Joni Bates Sells. It's also on my page for just Joni Bates. And it is also on my YouTube channel under Joni Bates Sells. And there's probably, 3 years worth of content available to you for free. On my YouTube channel. So here's the thing that I need all of my people to understand. Sometimes you need to pay attention. Why? I'm literally going to give you content on how to make real money without a lot of work for free. So just saying. So you shouldn't have to pay attention. So what I'm saying is pay attention. All right, drink of choice tonight is Chick-fil-A lemonade. If you know, you know. It's not just lemonade, but I got to tell you, the diet lemonade with Kettle One grapefruit rose vodka. It's the summer go-to. It is the summer go-to. Okay, this is open forum. And I have lots of guests that are in the background who are acting as my admins. I have insurance agents. I have 1031 exchange officers. I have loan officers. I have people who can readily help you. So question about anything to do with investing, put it into the comments. And we're going to hit it, okay? I do want to make sure, I've had a lot of questions about this lately, about the new loan. It's actually not very new. But it has to do with buying a home for your parents who are elderly. It's a real thing. It's called the family something mortgage. Basically, most of the time when you buy an investment property, if you're financing it through a loan, you need to put 20% down. If you buy an investment property and you're putting your parents into it, a family member, it's 5% down. Do the math, right? That just makes sense. So if you are looking at doing something like that, if your folks need to move closer to be around family for support, consider becoming their landlord. You will both win. There comes a time look at getting some kind of assisted living or help. Consider putting them into an investment property, pay the 5%, and bring help in. I do have wonderful, wonderful visiting nurses. One's called Visiting Angels. There's different ways to go broke just to take care of your loved ones. Okay. Hello, sweet Nathan. What are your thoughts on mortgages versus private equity? When does each option make sense? That is a super, super good question. Mortgages versus private equity. It really depends on what you want to do. It depends on what your personal ROI is, which means your return on investment, and how much skin you want to have in the game. So as we're talking about these things, Nathan, I think that a lot of my program here is going to answer those questions. So just keep going and you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's start with, we go through our banners, and our banners run across the bottom, and we kind of follow an outline as to what we're going to talk about and how to do it. So this is truly Investor 101. All right. So Investor 101 basically means y'all need to be a student. If you're interested in investing and you're just kind of hanging out, instead of watching TV, you're watching YouTube, or you're cruising through Bigger Pockets or any of these awesome sites about investing, you might become an investor. But what I'm talking tonight to the folks who have been ringing me up, texting me saying, how do I do this? How do I do what you're doing, Joni? I watch you. And as an agent, as a private investor, how do you find the properties? How do you know? What do you know is making money? How do you do it? Like literally, I'm giving you my secret sauce, the secret formula to how you can become an investor. And honestly, guys, I'm going to tell you, stay away from anyone who you have to spend like hundreds or thousands of dollars to buy a packet. You don't need to buy a packet. You really just need to be a student, have a note track, and learn. And then we're going to talk about having the confidence too, the confidence to take the next step, because there's no better way to learn except by doing. Okay. So that's me like putting it out there that's what the next 3 weeks are going to be about. So tonight is basics 101 investing. Okay. So I need you to understand the vocabulary. Okay. Your vocabulary is really important. Understand the vocab. I say this is because investing is a completely different language. And I'm also talking to my real estate agents out there, fellow agents. If you want to get into this world, I call it my bread and butter, because I am so passionate about investing that it really does encompass a majority of my business. And it sends my kids to out-of-state college. I bought all my kids' cars. I paid off all my medical bills. There's real money in being an investor and supporting investors. And the only way you can do that is by talking the talk and walking the walk. You've got to know your vocabulary. How do you learn a foreign language? You get exposed to it, right? It is not the same formula as buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, working with buyers and sellers in a regular single family investment, first-time home buyer type conventional loan situation. That is a whole different part of real estate, which is awesome. I'm very, very much into that too, as well as my team. But investing is a special, special sauce. So I really want you to understand vocabulary. And the only way to do that is to expose yourself. So, did I just say expose yourself? Sorry. That was funny. I know that I've got a few people that are cracking up right now. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing I need you to know, we're doing broad strokes right now, then we're going to come back to the details about vocabulary, is to know your numbers. Do not get on Zillow and start driving around looking at houses. You're going to waste cash. You're going to waste time. You're probably going to partner. Looking at homes is really, really, really fun. It is. But if you actually want to make money, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a waste of your time. What you need to do in the beginning is to sit down and figure out how much money you're comfortable spending in order to make ROI, return on investment. That's what we're talking about. You're going to spend some money in order to make a lot of money. And what level are you comfortable with? I work with all different levels of investors. I have some people who say it's a hard number. I need to make $100,000 on every deal. Okay. It doesn't matter if they buy a $300,000 house and they put money into it. All they want to do on the other end is make $100,000. Okay. Some people need to have a percentage. They're looking at their cap rates. They're looking at, I'm going to invest with this one and it's going to be a flip. In 90 days, I want to make $30,000. And I want to do that over and over and over and over again, and possibly have 3 going at once. Okay, that's their model. So you need to know what your comfort level is. And this can change. This can absolutely change with your experience, with your finances. But ultimately, the goal is to have multiple doors. 3 to 5 is where this really works. 3 to 5 doors, and you create your own bank. When you're creating your own bank, you're no longer using any personal funding. You are using the equity in those homes to finance your deals. That's the sweet spot. Serious investors will get to that 3 to 5 doors, and then you just keep going. I mean, truly, once you get to that part, 10, 20, 100 doors are no different, because it's the same formula over and over again. You're just rinsing and repeating, and you're funding on your refinances. And I do talk really fast too. So forgive me. Okay. Hey, Lauren, are you cracking up? I love you. I love you. I miss you. Miss you. Okay. So let's get back to know your numbers. And here's a fun little trick. As an individual, you do not need to be a real estate agent to get into buying, selling, investing. You don't need me to do it. If you get to the point, like when I did it, I didn't have an agent. I found my own properties, wrote my own stuff, bought them, and managed them all by myself. That's legal because you're doing it for yourself. Now, the minute that you pop out there and make money helping someone else, that's not okay. You have to have a license to do that. But you do not need a real estate license to buy property, sell property, and manage that property. You just don't. You get to a certain number of doors, that's going to be a different story. But in the beginning, you need a real estate license to manage and invest on your own. That can save you some money too. Okay. You guys are funny. My friends, I missed you guys too. Yeah, so like I said, just don't get paid. If you're helping someone do real estate and you don't have a license, don't get paid, because that's illegal. Okay, now we're going to talk about some numbers. ROI. Who knows what ROI is? ROI is used for everything. Like if I was helping my kid with homework, how much time am I going to spend on that homework in order for the outcome to be positive? What's my return on my investment of time? Okay. So we're talking about what is your return on your investment. I really like a 30%. My numbers that I'm comfortable with is a 30% return on my investments. Now, I've hit that on all of mine and I've exceeded it. That's my comfort zone. I like my ROI to be 30%. Shout out to me, my other real estate agents out there and different investors. I miss you too, sweet. Miss you too. Miss you too, Ron. Figure out what your ROI is. Figure out what your comfort level is within your investments and what you need for your, I call it mailbox money. And that also is going to help you determine if you're a hold kind of person or a flip kind of person in regards to that ROI, about how quickly you want that money to come back. Some investment properties, they have no intention of selling them. They are hold, because you will always make money on an investment. The market does this, right? But when you go back and look at it, it's doing this. It's always going up in its peaks and valleys, but it will always continue to go up. So a lot of ROI and their plan for they're going to buy 5 rental properties and sell them. Someone's going to pay the rent. Someone's going to pay the mortgage. They're going to, do depreciation, because you get to do that too. That's like next week. We'll talk about that. You write off all of your lease money. All of your rents that come in get written off. You do not declare that as income because you have costs and stuff associated with it. There's a formula for it, but we'll talk about that next week. So that is something that I want y'all to focus on is what are you comfortable with your ROI? Okay. See, I have to have this here or I'll just start talking to my friends on here. So we've talked about know your numbers, ROI. Okay. What is your ARV? What does ARV mean? My people, what does it mean? Anybody, ARV. What does it mean? It's one of my favorite numbers, actually. An ARV is your after renovation value. This is a very important number. Very important number. Sometimes it can be tricky for the layperson who is not a real estate agent and who is not a real estate agent / investor to understand an ARV in an area. What you're trying to do is establish the after renovation value so that what can you sell it for? Let's talk about a property I'm currently working on with an investor right now. We purchased a property. It was listed for $190. It was a 3-1 1950s brick bungalow in a desired area, but the area is kind of in what I call a renaissance. It doesn't know where it wants to be, but because of my expertise, because my knowledge of the area, I know the crescendo that's happening. So we ended up getting the property for $175, right? So you got a 3-bedroom, 1-bath at $175 that needs major renovations. I know that property can sell for $320. That's the ARV. Why do I know that? Because there's comps in the area. There's current listings in the area. I've talked to agents. I have a good network of what's happening in the area. So I know in this particular pocket, this house will be able to support a $320. You buy it for $175 and it's going to be a $320. Do the math. You figure out how much needs to be put into it. Let's say 50 to 80. You still have a huge margin there. And then you sell it and you're going to make on this one at least $30,000 to $50,000. And that is going to be done within 90 days. So this is a true flip. Now here's a little tip, kind of going off track a little bit. When we're talking about ARVs, after renovation value, you need to make sure you understand your timelines with your contractors, your permits, all those things. And if you can't do it yourself, then you had better hire because money. It's better to pay a project manager on a GC for a general contractor than it is for you to have a deal last 3, 6, 9, 10, 12 months. And then you've lost the market, you've lost spring market, and you're on a hold, and your every intention was to flip it. Okay. So that's really important. In order to sell a home through an FHA loan, Federal Housing Authority loan, so that's a government sponsored insured loan, a home has to be held by anyone for 91 days. Okay. So when I'm working with my investors, we're planning to have our house kitchen cabinets in. I know this sounds weird, but when your kitchen cabinets go in, it means your house is level, your house is drywalled, your house is ready for paint, your floors are done. 3 weeks after your kitchen cabinets go in, ready to sell your house. So that's when I start marketing for listing. That usually happens at 60 days. So by the time that house actually goes to the closing table and sells, it's 91 days and it can be approved for FHA. That makes sense? Tell me if that makes sense. Okay, we're still on vocabulary. I'm literally like vomiting real estate on you. NOI. NOI is a little bit different, but it's something you need to know because investors, Facebook chats, YouTube channels, all the different things that you're going to start listening to are going to talk about NOI, net operating income. How much does it cost you to operate this property? And how much are you going to get back? So that's the total of your expense, right? And then you subtract it, and that's your net from that. Okay, so that's NOI. Okay. Now, if you're making a list and you're figuring out, okay, I'm serious about this, Joni. I want to do this. I want to be in this world. You have joined Facebook groups, you're reading books, you are watching YouTube channels, you have a subscription to Bigger Pockets, which is an amazing place to be when you're learning about investing. It has calculators in it. It is an incredible site. I am a huge proponent of Bigger Pockets, okay? So now you're doing all these things and you're kind of like, I'm getting ready. I want a 30% return just like you do, and I'm getting ready to do it. I understand these numbers. Do not do anything until you get an LLC. You need to protect yourself for liability. So an LLC is a limited liability company. It's a pass-through for your taxes. Nothing fancy. It's very, very easy to get through the Secretary of State. Do not pay a company for it. I made that mistake. I have 3 LLCs, and my very first one, I paid somebody like $700. It cost you like $50 to actually do this. Do it yourself. Pick a cute name, pick the initials of your family, pick a favorite spot that you like, drop it after it, register it with the Secretary of State. Okay? You have to do this because you need to protect, right? So once you have your LLC and you've registered with the Secretary of State, giving you the flow chart here, the next thing you need to do is pick a domain name so that when you do start having multiple doors, you can email associated with it. You can have a website associated with it, and it all matches your LLC. And when you start playing with the big dogs, this is important because consistency, kind of like branding, but your consistency with your business and with taxes and with your accountant is all really important. Okay. I know a lot of this I'm moving really fast, but it is all going to make sense. Okay. After domain name and after you've gone to the Secretary of State and you have established that LLC, you have a big boy, big girl company. Now you need an EIN. A lot of folks miss this. It's kind of like one of those moments where they're like, well, I did everything I was supposed to. You got one more thing to do. You got to get paid. And who wants a piece of everything? The government. So in order to actually get a bank account, to get capital loans, that's a key, you need an EIN. It's a social security number for your business. It literally takes 20 minutes to do. I have literally done this at the closing table with a client who forgot to get their EIN. Go into the irs.gov and you put in what your state LLC is, what the name is, and then you register everything in. It's like click, 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 fill out, submit. 20 minutes later, you get an email and you have your EIN. Not only do you have your EIN, but you also have all your operating documents because that's what you set up through the Secretary of State when you did your LLC. Okay. Does that make sense? So there's some moving parts, but what you're doing is you're creating a solid foundation for the future of your business, of your freedom. For me, that's what this was about. You're creating a really strong foundation for freedom, financial wealth, legacy, and God, truly, I went for 14 days in an RV with my husband and had a blast and had one of my best months in real estate ever because my foundation was strong and my team's amazing. Amazing. Okay. Next thing we're talking about is the bank accounts. I'm giving you a laundry list right now because this truly is investing 101. This isn't sexy. This is like sitting in class right now. I can entertain you with my big summer hair and my pink lipstick and all the things that I do for my antics, but it is true. This is just like if you want to be an investor, you number one need to be a student. You have to be a student. I'm still a student. I just wrote documents today for multifamily in Columbus, Georgia. Shout out to Brett Ray for bringing that one home. $1.1 million deal on duplexes, multifamily apartments, all the things. That's next level. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the basics. But in order to get there, you have to be a student. Okay, getting churchy here. Getting real churchy. Probably because I'm passionate about it. Oh, how much owning investment property, rentals can change your life. If you want to ask, I mean, shoot, it's all over YouTube. And you're like, hey, tell me how you bought that car. You're driving a sweet ride. Real estate. How would you recommend I protect my money during a volatile market? Real estate. It's not that hard, but you have to be a student. Hello, my friend Paul. Passive income is the key to the American dream. Paul, thank you. That is the truth. And for too long, I mean, I went to school. I went to Michigan State. I've got a degree. I had a bank account. I have a bank account, a savings, a 401k, an IRA, all the things, all the things you get for your kids' college and all that. I'm not going to say it's a lie. But I'll tell you what, for every property that I have bought and dropped my kid in and then flipped it and did another one, I've paid for their college. Do you hear what I just said? I didn't have to go into a 529? Personally, I would ditch the 529. And when my kids were about 8 or 9 years old, I would buy a house. And then when it was time for them to go to college, I'd sell the house and pay for college. Do you hear what I just said? Yeah, that's what I would do. All right, again, I'm going to church on this one. Guys, save me from myself. Okay, bank accounts. Pro tip. I'm going to need you to listen on this one. Separate. Do not commingle your LLC, EIN, bank accounts with your personal account. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because at the end of the year, if you're doing it right, and I know you will because you're listening to me, your bank account, checking, savings, and one credit card. Checking, savings, one credit card. Okay? Is your P&L. If you don't commingle, then every single bank statement you have that you submit to your CPA is your P&L. You're done. That's it. That is like the ultimate secret sauce I just gave you right there. Keep everything separate. I'm to the point because girl had to learn how to do all of this 3 years ago when I had to go to Plan D. I had to actually go to a completely separate bank. We're not talking about just different accounts. I went from, my family uses PNC. I had to go to Wachovia, it's now Wells Fargo, and create a whole different set of accounts for my investments in order to keep them separate. Best thing I ever did. Okay. End of the year. Here's my bank statements. That becomes your P&L. All my tenants pay me through Venmo and I flip it right into the account. And then when you get Venmo and it starts to tally it up, it doesn't separate it. When I send it to the proper account, I send it in separate increments. So if rent is $600 per door, which I have multi-doors, $600 per door, that tenant will send me $600. The next tenant sends me $6. The next tenant sends me $6. So I'll have, $1,800 in there, right? Yeah. I then send it out in the same increments so that my P&L match. Does that make sense? I hope so. Bank accounts are important. Okay. Banner. We just talked about our P&L. Save yourself some heartache, y'all. For my mistakes, I'm blessing you. I'm blessing you. Okay. Here's the next thing I want to talk to you about as far as being a student. I love books. I like to turn pages. I like books. I like to highlight. I like to go through and make notes. Buy the books. Go through the YouTube. Go through Under Investing. Different philosophies speak to different people. Some people are big on Ramsey. They're all about how Dave Ramsey follows things. Some people like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Some people like a combination of the two in the middle. But okay, let's just talk about it. Ramsey's here. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is here. They're complete opposites with the same goal in mind. Ramsey is like, buy all your investment properties with cash. Debt is bad. And then I'm going to say his last name wrong. Kawasaki. I'm going to say it wrong. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad author is like, debt is great. Healthy debt, good debt is fantastic. And I fall someplace not really in the middle, because I think Dave Ramsey I don't agree with everything he says. I'm a little bit more towards the Rich Dad, Poor Dad side. I believe that debt is good as long as it's making you money. Okay. So this is going back to education. It is a super, super personal thing for you to understand you and your decision makers, partner, could be your spouse, it could be your business partner, are on the same page as far as your values within investing. Because it truly is. Some people are high risk takers, real high. They don't mind taking that kind of risk. And some people are a little more cautious. Just be on the same page as your decision makers, okay? Podcasts. Love, love, love some podcasts. Driving down the road, start listening. Pick through them. And you're going to gravitate, just like when you're going through your true crime and you're deciding, how much crazy do I want to listen to today on my podcast? It's the same for investing. Start listening to podcasts and you will naturally gravitate towards some personalities that resonate with you. And the exact same thing with YouTube. I personally am a very visual person and I enjoy YouTube. I have a finance degree, minor, and so I very much enjoy graphs, charts, explanations. I really look at unemployment, job markets, areas in the country, and I can pretty much pinpoint where there's good investment opportunities. So you do not need to invest in your backyard. What I'm saying is, if you're feeling coastal, then you should buy something coastal. Okay, I am really all over the place, guys. Like I said, this is 101. Let me see if y'all are chatting it up. Hey, love you too, Miss Val. Healthy debt equity ratio is key. Yes, Val. Val is one of my financial gurus. She's a fellow girl boss entrepreneur, and she is available to all of you for consultations. She is an independent, brilliant woman who I often call her up. I'm like, I need to bounce numbers. And most of the time I know what my numbers are. I just need to have someone else go through them. Val is amazing for that. Val, if you want to share info, feel free. Babe. Hey, Tony, love you too. I don't need to start a podcast, Val. That would be a nightmare. That would be an absolute nightmare. Okay. I don't want to keep you all on here forever, but let's talk about flips or holds. I'm be real honest with you. When I decide what I'm going to do in that area, I'm taking the temperature of myself. I have learned enough times around the sun that I know how many spoons, if you know, you know. I know what my bandwidth is. I know what's coming up in my life. That's how I determine if I'm flipping or holding. Truth. If you're flipping, time is money, time is money, time is money. Okay. You are on a deadline and a timeline, particularly if you're using a hard money lender. We're going to talk more about that next week. Val, I'm going to put you on the hook for that one. So next, put that on your calendar. Hard money lending is like when you're walking through a beautiful downtown area and it's amazing, and you turn and then you kind of peek and you realize that there's a little bar back there that's a little boho and no one knows about it, but damn, they serve the best cocktails. That's hard money lending. You know, he always barks when I get on YouTube, when I get on Facebook Live. So hard money lending, we're going to do a whole nother segment on it. It's fantastic. Why use your money? Use somebody else's. Okay. That is what I particularly do flips for. Hard money lending and flips. Come here. Come here. Come on. You have to come here. Come here. You had to say hi. Hello. My baby had to say hi to me. Okay. So if I'm flipping, I'm using hard money. Or I'm cash. I'm using cash. And I'm using my HELOC, home equity line of credit, because it's short term. I'm going to make $30,000 in 90 days. I know that. So that's okay. If I'm holding, that's where I'm thinking more of, I'm looking at an area, I'm looking at a map. I know what it is. I know what it's going to be, and I know what potential it has. And it might not need a ton of work. Capital improvement, that's another vocabulary word. It might not need a ton of capital improvement. So I know for myself or one of my investors, let's go into this particular area on the map and let's find a home and hold. Put renters in it, do some capital improvements, and then let's do the long haul on that one. So I hope that makes sense in regards to flips or holds. We're going to talk about a couple more definitions that I think are really, really, really important that you are going to hear. Brr. Okay. I'm not chilly. It's freaking July. I'm not cold. Okay. What does brr mean? You're going to hear this used a lot. And sometimes I got to tell you, sometimes investors can be all sassy as all get out. They start throwing out these vocabulary terms and you're like, you're an ass. Why don't you just explain what you're talking about? Okay. What is a brr? B, buy. You buy your property, right? Okay, you're buying your property. This is a strategy. You've got your buy. What are you going to do next? Renovate. Improvements. You're going to buy something that needs some love. Most of the time, just being real honest with you, a burr is going to be when someone has left feet first. It's true. We're all going to leave this world. And burrs, feet first, someone is deceased. It has gone to the family's not interested. The house is in great shape, but it might be kind of dated and it needs to be renovated. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to buy, you're going to renovate. What are you going to do next? You're going to rent it. It doesn't have to be amazing. Here's a fact. There's not enough inventory. I'm talking about K-Town right now, Kennesaw, Atlanta, even inside the perimeter. There is not enough places for people to live. There just aren't. So you're actually doing mission work, service work, when you provide a rental to a family, particularly saying it, if it's in a good school district and they have children, you really are providing them. Gosh, so many people have been dealt some real shit in their life in regards to divorce, in regards to bankruptcy, in regards to health issues and having to pay bills, and their credit gets dinged. And these are solid, great people who cannot buy a house. And the only way for them to do the American dream is to rent from you. So after you rent that property, within 6 months of your purchase, you're going to refinance it. You've done some good things. You maybe put a new roof on, you've done some capital improvements to it. It's going to be worth more. So you're going to refinance it. You just bank, right? The money that you just took out of it, you're going to do it again. Burr. That's what a burr is. Okay. This is a hold strategy that is used. It is probably it is the most popular strategy is the burr. And when I say repeat, I mean repeat. Right? So if you're real serious about a burr, the money you're taking out in that refinance, you're going to throw it right back into another property. Okay. You're holding, creating a bank with that refinance and grabbing another one. And then you're just going to keep doing that. You're creating a portfolio. Okay, my friends. I got a lot to still go through, and I don't know if it's going to be applicable because I have dumped so much on you. These are different rules in regards to investing. And basically, different regions of the country are going to follow different rules. The 1% rule is used all the time. It's very simple. If I buy a house for $200,000, the 1% rule says I should get $2,000 a month for rent. Now, that doesn't work here in Atlanta. It just doesn't. We can get a 7 to 8 to a 9. Sometimes come in real low. You got someone went out, feet first. You can get your 1% rule, but most of the time that's not going to happen. It is ambitious 1%. That is really, really good in areas below 200,000, particularly rural areas where people are buying houses for 150 and then they can ask for 1,500 in rent. That's reasonable. That's the 1% rule. 70-30 rule, I use this one all the time. I do in my ARV, which we talked about, my after renovation value within a particular area. I need to see what is 70% of that ARV. Whatever that number is how much I should pay for the house. Okay. That is usually a flip. 70-30 is usually a flip. 1% is a hold. And again, regionally, this is all going to be different. If you're going coastal, if you're buying a property right on the water, these rules are going to be much different. Okay. And we can do a whole separate things on that. And then different climates require different skills. This is what I mean by that. My heart goes out to my fellow agents who have been struggling. This has been a brutal market for a lot of agents. I know I can name a number of agents who have just left the business in the past 6 months because interest rates have gone up and they can't do it. They can't do the buy, sell and make enough money to support their families. This is what I mean by climate. My pivot has been investors. I mean, I can talk to an investor in 3 weeks, we're closed because I know how to do that. I know how to pivot regarding the climate. So it is always a good time to buy real estate. It is always a good time to invest in your portfolio with real estate. You just have to know what chapter to turn to and what recipe to follow. Right now, the best recipe to follow is getting a HELOC on your primary residence. If you've lived there for the past 3 years, I guarantee you've got $150,000 sitting there doing nothing. So you need a HELOC. You need to assume someone else's loan, 2.75%. You know what I'm talking about? People out there have to move. They get a job transfer or something's going on in their life and they bought during COVID and they're sitting at 2.75. Why can't you assume their loan and then rent it to someone else? Y'all hear what I'm saying? There's different chapters for different climates. I tell you, I do feel like I go to church when I do this because I'm very passionate about it. And there's also seller financing. Again, it's kind of like the hard money lending where it's kind of around and you have to dip and you have to look and you've got to know the right password to get into the bar to get the good cocktails. That's seller financing. These are things like assumable loans subject to joint ventures. How do you know if a loan is assumable? Thanks for asking, Denise. It's very, very simple. VA loans, most of them, VA loans are assumable as long as that veteran understands that they lose their benefit if they allow someone else to use it, or that person who's assuming their VA loan is also a veteran. Also, it's just a matter of getting the last bank statement, and it usually says right on there if a loan can be assumed or not. Pretty amazing. It is a longer process because you basically have to close twice. If you're assuming someone's loan, it's going to be 45 days for the assumption because you have to be approved still that, you do you see what just happened there, y'all? I was giving away so many secrets that the whole internet just crashed. Okay, not funny. All right, so I am talking too much. Facts. Thanks, Paul. Okay, I do have so much to share, but I've already been babbling on for over 50 minutes. I guess in theory is you have there's so much to learn, and I'm here to teach you. It is not super sexy to learn all these things, but I got to tell you, for me personally, it is life changing. And it makes me like, well, my life is completely blessed and different because of this industry and because of the people I have met in regards to it. And there is no reason for people to not have significant income for this much work. And I'm here for that. I'm here to help you for free to get to that level, to get to the next step. So next week, we are going to do part 2, and the week after that is part 3, and it is obvious that there's a ton of information. So if there was something there that I touched on that you were like, wait, I want more, reach out to me. My number is 678-788-6465, and that should be up here somewhere, but I don't know if I can turn off my banners. Yeah, I'm always here for you guys. So I missed you. I'm glad to be back. And let's get some investing done here. Let's get some 101. And if we want to do this in person, I'm down for it. You come to my house. I can rent the clubhouse, order some food, do some drinks, and let's make y'all some money. All right. Smooches. Take care, y'all.